Let's give that a quick wipe, then we can talk about it. Okay, so the S25 Ultra. I had the S24 Ultra before, and when I first got this, I liked it, but I was not 100% sold on it for the very fact that I wasn't really into these round corners. They looked too much like an iPhone for me. It felt like Samsung was trying to be was trying to go the iPhone route. So I was not 100% sold on that. I preferred the S24 Ultra's boxy shape because when you're watching programs or watching media, Netflix or YouTube, for example, it looked to me, it felt, it gives you the feel as if you're watching a small television when it's more square. But I must say, this shape has grown on me, and I am very much digging this form factor. Um, I like it. I must say, I like it. I love it, and I've always used a case. As soon as I got my phone, I put a screen protector on it, stick it in a case, and that's how I use my phone. But with this phone, I found whenever I'm using it, I am so eager, especially if I'm in the house, very much eager to take it off out of the case and use it, just to hold, just to. I like the feel of it. Just I like to feel it without the case on, so I can get the proper real state of it, especially when I'm watching content. Now, the other thing I love about using this phone is it's very light compared to the S24 Ultra. With the S24 Ultra, after a while, my hand it would feel heavy in the hands while using it. This I never get phone fatigue with this. It's very light, very comfortable. If anything, it's made me even more addicted to my phone, which is a bad thing. Because as the other half of our test, she's always fighting with me to get off my phone. I always have the phone on, earbud on, listening to something, playing something, watching content, um, and the little rascals are trying to get my attention, and it's not happening. So this phone, in terms of that, it's been very bad in getting me to use it as much as often, making me use it as often because it's just a beautiful phone to use. The other thing I like about this phone is the gestures. I mean, sorry, the quick setting here of I like to have everything when I pull it down. I like to have everything in front of me. I don't like the whole iPhone you off left, you get your notifications, right, you get your settings. Give me everything in one go here, and I'll decide what I want and what I don't want. If I need to get rid of any notifications, I can just clear that, and it takes it all away if I need to do that. So I prefer that setting compared to the individual divisions of here and the right, left. No, just give me everything on the front. That's what I prefer. Other thing I like about this phone is I love how to navigate it. So, yeah, waiting for this. I'm hoping we get a good result here. So, if I'm using, if I'm navigating, if I go back, yeah, I can easily do that and go back to where I was. I can do that, and again, it would take me, if I hit that home. Whereas with the iPhone, I have to keep doing that, but and then I don't, it's just I'm not 100% sold on the iPhone navigations. But then again, I'm not really an iPhone user, so that's probably my biases coming out because I've always used Android phones, so I'm very much in tune with how Android works. iOS, for me, is it's not very individualistic. Like as in, I can't do I can't set it to how I want my phone to feel and how I want to use my phones as I am able to do with an Android. With iPhone, I find it's very limited. It's getting better now with the new customizations that are coming up, with letting people being able to move, like for example here, look at all these applications I can put them in, set them up anywhere I want. This is due to good luck, and that's what I've always liked about Android. But this thing here, everybody's going on about how you can do this on, oh, how you're able to put your applications anywhere on the screen, and it's amazing. But you on Samsung phones, because of good luck, I was able to do all this on an HTC using HTC Sense a long time ago. We're talking maybe, I don't know, when was HTC in the business. We're talking maybe 15, 16 years ago. I was able to have my applications like this on an HTC phone, which is why I always use HTC. I never used iPhone or Samsung. I always, because everybody thinks they're special. So you're like, oh, I don't want to use an iPhone. I don't want to use a Samsung because I don't want to be, I don't want to be with the in crowd. And I want to, I don't want to I don't want to use Samsung because I want to use iPhone because I'm cool. Or I don't want to use, I don't want to use an iPhone because everybody who uses iPhones thinks they're better than everybody else. Oh no, skip me with that nonsense. Or I don't want I want to use a Samsung phone because it's let me do what I want to do, and it's cooler and it's innovative. Okay, yes, there's some truth to that, but look, a phone is a flipping phone. The amount of things that you do on the phone is everybody does on a phone is simple. You're watching content, checking emails, reading out, going on, on the websites, and you're reading information. That's basically what you do with it. And you're taking phone calls, making messages, sending messages. That's basically it. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has a phone these days. So there's nothing really special about these tools. This is just a tool that, unfortunately, we need in this day and age. Nobody has landlines anymore. If you want to get in touch with me, everybody has to have a mobile phone, and it has to be most of the time touchscreen, because that's just, the technology is the marketplace. That's how everything works. So this whole, I've never been, into the whole, or Apple or Samsung. I've never been into that. But I've always avoided the big brands because I always thought the big brands were very much in the sameness. But also, I hated Samsung back in the day because it used to use what they called TouchWiz, and I thought it was very cluttered, very, very cluttered. Whereas if you used the normal Google on its own, it didn't have much bloatware on it, and it was brilliant. But it was too plain for me. I've never really liked Google. Just plain Google. I've never really liked plain Android. Sorry, I've never really liked that. I've never just liked plain Android. So I always prefer, getting like a brand like a Samsung, a Huawei, a Xiaomi, and then they have their own skin on it. Like a OnePlus, they have their own. They have their own there. But with One UI, I find they're close to. It gives me the feeling, the nostalgic feeling of me using an HTC Sense. It gives me that feeling now because I'm able to have it slightly as clean as I can, on top of, natural Android, but with a bit of flair, and I like that. I don't like dry Android. No, that's not for me. I find that boring, and I just find it boring. It's the same as iOS. Now iOS is coming up, and they're giving you the options to get your notification, to get your applications how you want, change a few things, but it's still limited, and I don't like that. I don't like to be limited. Um, like I said, everybody thinks, oh, I'm individualistic. I like to have, you like to have certain things your way. But at the end of the day, like I say, it's just a phone. Whether it's Android, whether it's Apple, it doesn't. Whether it's a Samsung or Apple, it doesn't really matter. All you're doing is using it for the same things. But so just get the phone that you want, use it how you want, and everybody else, and the phone wars, they're interesting. They're fun. They're fun for the internet, and people can get into those conversations if they want. But just use the phone for what it is. Okay. Now, when it comes to pictures, I'm not really a huge photo taker. I don't really take as many. I don't take as much loads of photos. I'm not that. But when I do take the camera out and I do want to go take a picture, I just want to be able to open the camera and snap. I just want to be able to do the snapping, just snap straight away, and then have a look and see what the what the picture is, and get my detail. And if I zoom in, make sure everything I've got it in. people talk about the lag, the shutter lag on Samsungs. Uh, have I noticed that? Not really, but then again, I'm not really nerdy in that way. I'm just, your standard, phone takes a user. Even though I always get the latest flagship, because that's just, my preference. I like it. I've got the if I can afford it, I'll buy it. Why not? But it's not a major deal. It's not really a major deal. So that's what I like about the phone. But the build on this phone here compared to the S24 Ultra, like I said, at first when I got this, I was not really 100% sold on it. But as I have used it over the last couple of months, I've really really enjoyed using this phone. And again, the light, how so light it is, and and the real estate that you have when you're watching something, brilliant. And I like this. So if I'm watching YouTube, for example, and I got this here, and if I flip my phone this way, it turns with me. When I try and do that on my 16 Pro Max, it doesn't. It only stays if I'm watching. It stays in that. It stays in that portrait. It doesn't rotate according to how I'm holding the phone, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It actually annoys me. It annoys me. It shouldn't do, but it does. It really does annoy me. So I prefer watching entertainment on this bad boy here. I prefer this because it's just it's just better. I just find it better. I just like the real estate on that. So I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and they've always used iPhone, and I put this and this phone against her iPhone 15, I think it was, and she loved this. She was like, "Oh, I would." She loved watching the content on this more than she did on an iPhone, even though she's always been iPhone. But then again, it's preference, like I suppose. But this I prefer that. I prefer this. I'm not gonna lie. I like this the fact that this is so vivid. I can have it in, and like again, this I don't know. Maybe I'm emphasizing this too much, but I just enjoy it. I like that the whole it rotates with me. Just simple things like that just make it for me. Also, I like the way I can navigate this. If I want to uh clear all the apps that I have here. I can just go close all. On the iPhone, it doesn't have that. Seriously, it's 2025 and you can't clear any open applications. You have to do one by one. Seriously, iPhone, what are you doing? So simple things like that, annoy me or when I'm using the iPhone. But then again, like I said again, don't judge the iPhone on that. I'm not an iPhone user. I've never really. I'm getting to grips with it. I interchange between this and the iPhone, but the iPhone, I don't. I'm learning it. I'm learning. It's a new experience for me. Because the only other Apple product that I've always used from day one is an iPod. I've always loved the iPod. I like for music. I've always been a person who likes to say, I can get my Apple Music. I can get the Apple Music on Android now, which is brilliant for when I'm walking to work and I just don't want to, because my iPod stays in the car and I use that for my music. That's my music system in the car. But if I want to be out and about and I got the Apple Music on Android, that's been brilliant. That's been a game changer for me. But again, I've always preferred to separate, to have an iPod on the side and my phone on the side. But this was back in the day where batteries, if you were listening to music, your battery would drain faster. If you're watching stuff, your battery would drain. So I always wanted to separate the two so that I could keep my battery long, so that my battery would last long on my phone, and then my iPod would do all the music. But it probably doesn't make much of a difference now because the batteries on smartphones are brilliant now. The optimizations of them, especially on the iPhone, the battery optimization is brilliant. It's an all day battery phone. It's the same with the when I was using my Huawei's, when I was using my HTC's, and now that I'm using Samsung. The battery lasts so day. So you're never gonna go wrong. You're not gonna go wrong with the battery on this thing. It will last you for as long as you want. What am I on today? 31%, but that's because I think I probably started the day on 70%. I didn't really charge it last night because I wasn't going into the office today. I was working from home. So it wasn't a real big deal. It wasn't a big deal. So, but the battery on it, the battery, brilliant. This whole oh, we need faster charging, and that's, yeah, it's nice to have, it's nice to see, but for what I use, my usage, or how I use the phone, doesn't really affect me in that way. So happy with the phone. Um, right, let's conclude because I think I'm rambling on a bit too much. So do love this phone. Think I've said that enough. And then especially when you combine this phone with this, with the Ultra, with the Watch Ultra, or even any smartwatch, any Samsung Watch phone, they just communicate together. And then obviously you got the Buds Pro here, and this ecosystem here, for me, I find is brilliant because it just works seamlessly. You know, it just seems to communicate. They seem to work fine. I get my notifications on this easily. The message comes in. If I'm sitting in the office on the desk, the message comes on. The message comes in. I can see it on the phone. Reply on it straight away. If we need to dismiss a phone call coming in, I can dismiss a phone call coming in. Simple things like that, and it's just brilliant. It just works. It's fast. Anything past 2000 and I would say maybe 2015, possibly. I would say, anything past that, any phone that you get nowadays, even the mid-range phones, any phone that you get, does the job. It's good for you. They do the job. It works well. It holds its battery. It does what I needed to do, and that's all I need. A phone that it does what I wanted to do, reacts the way I wanted to do, function the way I wanted to do. Oh yeah, and this here, the S Pen. I'm probably what does Samsung say? Something like, maybe, I don't know, was it 1% or whatever it was, 10%? I can't remember. I mean, what the percentage was for them taking off the Bluetooth function on this, because a lot of people are not using it. Unfortunately, I am one of the 1% or the 10% of people that actually did use the Bluetooth features on this. Especially, I loved the fact that, because I have little ones. So when I'm taking pictures, I can take my phone out, and I used to snap that, and then to take the picture. And it was brilliant because what would happen is I could set my phone up in the living room or anywhere, and then and then the little ones would be playing, and then I could just quickly snap wee pictures of them in a sneaky way without them seeing, and you get the best photos that way. So I was able to do that with the S Pen, and it was a brilliant feature. So now that they've taken it off, um, just I was pissed. I was really pissed because it also, I used it for bragging rights. With my friends, I'd be like, "Oh, let's take a selfie and a group photo and whatever," and I'd have it, and I'd always use the big, the main cameras, and then use my watch to see if everybody's in shot, and then use my pen to take the picture. And it was just so much handier. It was so much handier. So when they took it out, when I got this one, I almost sent it back because of that. But I gave it time, and I thought, right, let me give it time and let me see how it goes. So, but so I didn't send it back in the end. So I have to use, so the S24 Ultra, the other half uses that. So I gave it to her, and so if we're doing the form, so because I can still do it on using her phone, it's not a big deal. It's not a big. It wasn't a big deal for me, but it really pissed me off because these big companies, Apple, Samsung, they're getting into the habit of taking away, into the habit of taking away features on, every phone that comes up. They introduce something mundane and then take off a massive feature that people have been used to. And I think they're getting away with murder by doing that. Because, unfortunately, we buy them. I'm one of those. I'm at fault. I buy it regardless of whether the feature is there is not, because I love technology. It's what I get into. It's what what I do. That's my vice. So I just waste money, to be honest, on all these technologies. But you know I but that's my vice. Like I say, that's what I'm into. So I'll do it for as long as I can afford it. I'll do it. So it's not a big deal. But anyway, to conclude, then I'll just say I'm gonna keep using it, and then I'll probably do another review as we go on. No, to be honest, I don't even know if you can this qualifies as a review. It's probably just an old man rambling, an old man rambling, but talking about something that they use on a regular basis. So I'll do that, and I'll do another video whenever whenever I get the time. busy life, too many, lots of kids at work, and it's just don't have the time. But I will do as much usage as that, and then see. Oh, I hear one of them crying. So, right. Thank you anyway for listening, folks. That's me away here. Speak soon. Bye.